Hello everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week, Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you are facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, Jeff talks about the different models of the value proposition to recreate your own. You will learn from Jeff why you need to prepare now at this time of the crisis and rethink your value proposition. Now let's hear from Jeff Glover.
Okay, so let's get into today's topic, which I promised you would be value propositions. Again, we're at Relead session 5. The topic is value propositions. You should have a clean sheet of paper. Maybe you're taking notes on your laptop, or you have our Relead workbook that we sent out in session 1. I'm going to walk you through the value proposition models. And then I'm going to talk to you about how we took bits and pieces of each to create our own. Okay, so let's talk about the value proposition models first. We covered these a little bit in session 1. I just breezed through them. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on these today. And then we're going to tell you, or I'm going to share with you, how our value proposition evolved, because we do have to get back to business to some degree. When this is all said and done, you're still going to have hopefully a business to go back to, a building to go back to, an office to go back to, an environment to go back to. And so therefore, the value proposition is more important than ever right now. Okay, so let's talk about the models first, and then I'll get into the value proposition, how we put it all together. First model I want to talk about is the traditional model. All right, so for those of you that have been doing this for a while, you know the traditional model because the traditional model's been around a long time. Okay, these are your traditional, offer a lot of value and in exchange for a low split, right? Back in the day, we saw this a lot in the 80s with Century 21, with Coldwell Banker, with Prudential Real Estate. We saw a very traditional offer a lot of value, make lives of agents easier, feed them leads, feed them and basic advertising, and in exchange for that, agents are on a 50-50 split, a 40-60 split, a 60-40 split. Okay, that is a very traditional model. Then we saw the high commission model show up. We saw this in the 90s, notably RE/MAX, where it's just pay us a fee and keep more of your commissions. Of course, in that model, there aren't very many services from the company. There's the basics, but that is more of what would be considered a high commission model, which actually evolved into somewhat of I know we have brokers, agents, teams from all companies, so this is nothing against anybody. That turned into somewhat of a discount model. Now, I'm not saying that particular company that I mentioned is a discount brokerage by any means. Great brokerage, by the way, but there was discount spinoffs. Basically, there's people that said, well, if they can charge X amount and give little value, then we can charge even less and give even less value. All right, and that is a viable model that's out there. Now, of course, the downside is agents are on their own to figure everything out. Very common model that we see today in real estate teams and some brokerages, because by the way, which we've talked about in session 1, it's called Relead, real estate leadership, right? So whether you're running a team, whether you're running a brokerage, whether you're running multiple offices, whether you're running yourself, whatever, it doesn't matter. Independent franchise, none of this matters. All that matters is that we're leading people or intend to lead people at some point. Very common that we see today is the leads model, okay? I wrote down the leads model is easy to recruit to. It requires the lowest amount of leadership skills. It's the fastest to grow and expand with. Okay, so the leads model, very common with real estate teams today. They lead with leads. Their offering is come work for us, we'll feed you leads. Come be a part of this company, you're going to get a lot of leads. Come work with us, we're going to feed you leads. Easy to recruit to because agents want leads. Requires the lowest amount of leadership skills because you don't have to have any. Your value isn't in your leadership, your value is in your leads. Fastest to grow, okay? Easy to grow something like that when you're giving something away, and also expand with. You can go into a new market, any market you want, and buy leads today. I wrote down the leads model, unfortunately, is very unstable. Positively, could be wildly profitable or wildly unprofitable. The leads model is more susceptible to higher ups and lower lows. Lower turnover but also lower quality agents. Why is the turnover not high in the leads model? The turnover isn't high in the leads model because you have something that they want. You're giving something that they want. And if they leave, they don't get that. Now, of course, you could argue, well, if they came for leads, they will leave for leads. They'll go find leads somewhere else. But the reality is you'll have lower turnover if you have a 100% leads model. I'm not saying that leads shouldn't be part of your value proposition. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But the reality is you will have lower quality agents, right? Because you have usually agents that are not necessarily excited about generating business on their own. Okay, your top producers are more likely to leave a leads model because they don't want to be surrounded by agents that are just sitting and begging for leads. Less leaders will emerge out of this type of model, and it's harder to grow from within because all they know is what you've fed them, essentially. Top producers, again, have a challenge sticking around because they want to either A, go generate their own leads, or B, get paid a higher split because they are converting at a higher level. Well, the challenge with that is in the leads model, you're paying a lot for these leads. Paying a higher split does not end up being win-win. There's the heavy training and coaching model. The heavy training and coaching model. I think about my time when I was with Paul and Kathy Schweitzer. That was our model as a brokerage. Come on in. We're going to train you. In fact, you're not even going to get a desk. You're going to go to a training center, and you're going to work there for 90 days until you take 2 listings and have 2 sales. You have 2 listings and 2 sales in 90 days. We're going to introduce you to the office that you're going to work out of, and there's your desk, there's your phone. High training, high coaching model. All right. Learning, growing, a lot of learning, a lot of growing, fair splits, environment focused, a lot of face-to-faces, a lot of one-on-ones, and very accountability heavy based on the agent's individual business plans. So the agents, you work with the agents to put together their business plans, and you have a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of training and coaching around their specific plan, including having an extremely high accountable environment. There's the marketing model. Okay, the marketing model is very high cost. It's very low margin, very easy to recruit to. Definitely increases conversion. What a lot of agents don't realize when they work with a company that does a lot of advertising, when I say company, this could be a brokerage or a team. When they work with a brokerage or team that does a lot of advertising, well, guess what? Your conversion rates go up because people are more familiar with the team name or they're more familiar with the broker name. So it's going to increase conversion. You're going to go on the same amount of appointments and close more business in a marketing model. The challenge is that it's very expensive to run this model, and you should only run this model when you reach a certain level of production, which we'll talk about that in a second. There's the technology model. Okay, the technology model is evolving, as you can imagine, hence the word technology. The technology model, by the way, does make life easier for agents. All right, I know a lot of brokerages and franchises are starting to release technology. And I know a lot of teams are concerned, how are we going to compete with all the technology that's coming out? Well, here's how you compete. You create a platform or a service that handles the technology for them. I don't care how smart you are, there's still some level of work, some level of servicing, some level of administering technology. And so the smart brokers, the smart teams are going to have systems in place to help the agents with that, so the agents aren't doing that all on their own. When I talk about technology, I'm talking about providing CRMs, providing dialers, providing video services, email and text services. Most of these probably at no cost to the agents in exchange for a fair split. That's the technology model. Now, I do want to be clear on a couple things. One more thing, sorry. Social media hype model. Believe it or not, that's actually a model. Okay, I call this the fake it until you make it model. By the way, these will get sniffed out in a market, especially like this. Nice thing about this model, it's low cost, it's high margin. The challenge is it takes a long time to build a business this way. It takes a long time to build a business through social media and hype to where business is consistent. Now, it might look, for those of you that are saying, yeah, but so-and-so is doing it, remember, that is part of the fake it until you make it method. So it looks like they're productive, or it's always going to look like they're more productive than they really are. This is a very unstable way to build a business, especially in tough times. However, it is low cost and high margin if you can figure it out. It just happens to be unstable and generally will get sniffed out at some point. Finally, I wrote down, because everyone is probably waiting to hear this, well, what about the virtual cloud model? Okay, here's my opinion on that. The virtual cloud model is actually not a model, it's a method. Okay, so you hear everyone saying, well, everyone's going virtual, everyone's going virtual, everyone's going cloud. Well, that company lives in the cloud. It doesn't matter. It's a method of performing the value proposition, right? Your value proposition is how you add value and what you charge for that. The cloud model has nothing to do with the value proposition. It's just how the value proposition is administered. All right, so let me talk about how our let me share with you how our value propositions evolved throughout the years. 2007 to 2009 for our company, the value proposition was this. Ready? Follow my example. That was it. Just do as I do. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to go to work. Just follow what I do. That was from 2007 to 2009. Once we realized we had something, it was from 2009 to about 2012. The model was, let me train you on what I just accomplished, right? Because as we talked about in sessions, or if you did any research on me, you guys know I was selling 100 homes a year by the time I hit 2008. 2007, I think 40 some homes, 2008, over 100, 2009, 150. So once I had saw a pattern, I could document that, and then it become, all right, let me just train you. Let me train you on what I did. We were teaching agents how to fish, basically teaching them how to do what I just did. Then by 2012, the model evolved to, because we had some good revenue coming in, the model evolved to, it was training and buyer leads. All right, the model evolved to training and buyer leads. So then what happened there? Well, we had revenue coming in so we could provide buyer leads. And for those of you that were in the industry 2010 through 2012, you know that there was a lot of buyer leads to go around because not many agents were buying them yet. 2014, our model turned to marketing and operations. We put a lot of value into marketing. We spent a ton of money on marketing. We spent a lot of time and money on operations. What did we see? Well, in the first couple years, we saw a good, healthy improvement in our overall production. We saw our profit margins drop a little bit. However, when you're investing in marketing, you're going to see that happen. You're going to see the profit percentages decrease. However, as long as the pie gets bigger, the actual net dollar number should increase. I'll never forget, we had to have a very scary meeting at the end, I think it was the end of 2013 going into 2014, where we had to announce to the agents, hey guys, we're about to enter into a high-level marketing model. In order to do that, we're going to have to adjust the splits down. All right, almost everyone stayed with us except for one or two, and we lost our top producer during that time. By the way, our number one producer left us. They wanted to be grandfathered in. I wouldn't do that. I didn't think that was fair to the others, and so that person left us. Well, what was interesting, what I was trying to show everyone was, if we get the pie bigger, we can make this pie bigger. I think our GCI at the time was 3.5 million. I believe that we could have a plan to get the GCI, the gross commission income, to 5 million. And even if everyone's splits came down, right? I mean, we're not talking like the splits were cut in half. I mean, I'm saying agents were going from a 70% split to a 60% split, or a 60 to a 50. I mean, they were coming down, but not like being cut in half. And my whole belief was, if we could do this mass marketing, we can take the GCI from 3.5 million to 5 million, and the pie gets so big that even if your percentage decreases, the size of your slice is actually going to increase. And wouldn't you know it, that year we hit 4.983 million in GCI, and every single person in the company netted more income. So this whole thought process of, well, if my splits are going to go down, then that means I'm going to make less money. Depends on what the value in exchange for that is. It depends on what's being exchanged on the other side. So from 2014 to 2018, we poured a ton into marketing and operations. In 2016 and 17, we went a little crazy with it and put too much. In fact, for a couple of years, we lost money. We blew through $1 million in income in 2 years. I almost washed out my entire savings account because we doubled down on marketing and ended up in the red. Well, what happens if you end up in the red? You've got to make some drastic changes. So we had to do that in 2018, and we decided to shift our focus on the customer experience and how to get more value from our database, how to provide value, and how to get more out of it. So I wrote down from 2018 to 2020 to the beginning of this year, our focus was database and teaching our agents how to fish again. Notice we were still teaching them how to fish, but the reality is because there was so much marketing, because there were so many leads, they got away from it. Well, we had to go back to teaching them how to fish, and we had to focus on database because that is a higher ROI. That's how you keep the doors open. 2020 and beyond, this year and beyond, now we're teaching our agents showing them how to brand themselves, teaching them leverage, and most importantly, I wrote down teaching them how to live an unreal life, what to do with the extra time or what to do with the extra income that they've earned by being with us. So in a nutshell, I wrote down, here's how you could sum up the JGA model, or what we would consider now the Glover U model. It's sales skills based, marketing enhanced, with coaching and accountability as the foundation. It's sales skills based, enhanced through marketing, with coaching and accountability as the foundation. A focus on agent net profitability, through fair commission splits. A la carte options available. For instance, showing agents additional administrative support. A la carte options available if the agents want to pay for them. A mission to have agents living a life of balance. High recognition to associates internally and in the community. High energy and production-based environment. We believe our agents are salespeople, so the highest and best use is to keep them involved in sales. That is the highest return on their time. A focus on per person productivity. We're very clear on our value proposition to our agents and to our consumers. By the way, when you ask me, what is your value proposition? It's in this order: training and coaching, structure, accountability, operations and marketing, support and leads. Leads are last. That's the last item on our value proposition. Will you get leads? Of course you will. Will we feed you? Absolutely we will. But are we more interested in helping you build a big business? That's our goal. Agents building their own brands within a known brand. One-on-one coaching, and I wrote down learning, growing, making money, and having fun. If you can figure that piece out, if agents are learning, growing, making money, and having fun, there's no reason for them to look elsewhere. That is our value proposition in a nutshell. What I want to finish with is a couple things. Number one, make sure once you have your value proposition down, make sure you know how to present it. Make sure it's put together in a nice glossy book. Make sure it's put together in something that you could send out. Presenting your value proposition and being able to articulate it is key. All right, next week. Okay, last but not least, be sure to use the Glover U and Relead hashtags. We're going to continue giving stuff away. All right, thank you. Congratulations, Mary Jo, on your winnings. So keep using those. We're going to keep giving stuff away. Next week, we are getting into improving per person productivity and developing your training program. So next week's Relead subject, Wednesday, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. What else do you have to do right now? Kidding. Per person productivity and developing your training program takes place next Wednesday. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay supportive. Most importantly, stay positive. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the Real Estate Self-Assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify, and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, if agents are learning, growing, making money, and having fun, there's no reason for them to look elsewhere.